20 years ago, Eel O'Brien and his partner, Woozy Winks, planned a daring heist to steal a luxury watch for Eel's girlfriend, Angel McDunnock. But their ambitions ended in failure when they were caught by Mammoth City police. That night marked the beginning of a downward spiral for Eel, one that would lead him deeper into the world of crime. Years later, an industrial accident changed everything. Eel's body was transformed, becoming elastic and nearly indestructible. What could have been a curse became a second chance. Eel left behind his life of crime and re-emerged as the superhero known as Plastic Man. With his powers and his wit, he became a beloved figure in the world of heroes. But even heroes have regrets. Eel's past had left scars on his family, particularly on his estranged son, Luke O'Brien. Luke, born from Eel's relationship with Angel, grew up without the father who had abandoned them both. In a battle against the villain Solaris, Plastic Man's body faced its first real test. A devastating blast from Solaris caused his right arm to melt. Alarmed, he turned to his Justice League teammates for help. But his concerns were dismissed, mistaken for another one of his jokes. One hero, however, took him seriously. Detective Chimp, always perceptive, directed Eel to Vera Menlo, a chemist at Wayne Enterprises. After careful analysis, Vera delivered the crushing truth. Plastic Man's body was breaking down and he was dying. Faced with his own mortality, Eel sought out his son Luke. He wanted to warn him of the dangers they both might face because of their shared physiology. But their conversation quickly turned sour. Old wounds reopened and Luke stormed out, refusing to forgive the father who had once walked away. Desperate and alone, Plastic Man returned to Vera, begging for a solution. Vera proposed a risky idea. A nuclear reaction might rebind his molecules and save his life. With no other options, Plastic Man made a fateful decision. He vowed to create an atomic bomb to save himself. Meanwhile, deep in the sewers of Mammoth City, something unnatural was happening. The melted remnants of Plastic Man's right hand began to reform. Twisted and grotesque, the discarded part of him took on a life of its own. Feeling abandoned by his Justice League teammates who see his plight as just another one of his jokes, Plas turns to an unlikely ally, Woozy Winks, his old partner in crime. Together, they hatch a desperate scheme to kidnap Uranium, the first of the Metal Men, a robot whose nuclear core might hold the key to Plastic Man's salvation. But Uranium is currently in the custody of the sinister Dr. No-Face, a villain consumed by his hatred of the very concept of faces. Meanwhile, Luke O'Brien, Plastic Man's estranged son, grapples with the devastating news that not only is his father dying, but that his own pliable physiology might put him at risk as well. Seeking comfort, Luke reaches out to his mother, Angel McDunnock, but she refuses to hear anything about her former partner. With nowhere else to turn, Luke finds solace in his fellow Teen Titan, Robin, who offers him a shoulder to lean on during this difficult time. As Plastic Man's body continues to deteriorate, he and Woozy visit Vera Menlo, the Wayne Enterprises chemist who had originally suggested the nuclear solution. Initially, Vera refuses to help, unwilling to cross ethical lines. But seeing the desperation in Plas's eyes, and haunted by the memory of her own daughter who died far too young, she reluctantly agrees to aid him. In a derelict factory, Dr. No-Face rants to his captive, Uranium. He pours out his hatred for faces, calling them masks of lies and deception. His plan? To weaponize Uranium's nuclear material into a bomb that will make the world pay for its falsehoods. But just as his monologue crescendos, Plastic Man and the Metal Men storm in, launching an all-out assault. The battle is chaotic. Dr. No-Face tries to keep his grip on Uranium while the Metal Men, led by their brave and eccentric leader, Gold, fight to free their fellow robot. Amidst the clash, Woozy, ever the opportunist, lugs in a mammoth magnet, hoping to tip the scales in their favor. But his plan backfires as the magnet only affects Lead, one of the Metal Men, pulling him out of the fight. As the fight continues, the Metal Men begin to suspect that something is amiss. When the dust settles, Plastic Man finally confesses his true intentions. He doesn't care about the fight against Dr. No-Face. All he wants is Uranium's core to save himself. His words hang heavy in the air, a betrayal that cuts deep. Before the Metal Men can react, disaster strikes. The platform beneath them collapses, sending everyone tumbling toward a vat of molten material below. Robots and humans alike plunge into chaos with no clear way out. In his quest to stop his body from melting away, Plastic Man has abducted Uranium. His plan? To use Uranium to trigger a nuclear explosion that could rebind his molecules. But when Plastic Man reports this to the Justice League, he doesn't hold back on the details. including the apparent destruction of the other metal men. The League isn't impressed. Instead of rallying behind him, they criticize his actions. Frustrated and feeling abandoned, Plas lashes out and quits the team in a fiery rage. He heads back to Mammoth City, where Uranium sits in a lead-lined cell under the watchful eyes of Woozie Winks and chemist Vera Menlo. Vera informs Plastic Man that she doesn't have the materials necessary to stabilize his body. Time is running out and Plas knows it. Refusing to sit idly by, he springs into action. While the Justice League remains largely indifferent, Detective Chimp isn't ready to let this go. Something about the Metal Men's supposed destruction doesn't sit right with him. Quietly, he begins his own investigation, piecing together the truth behind Plastic Man's story. Meanwhile, Plas reaches out to his estranged son, Luke, who's been staying at Titan's Tower with Robin. The two take a walk, sharing an uneasy moment of connection. But Plas has more on his mind than father-son bonding. He proposes they take down Dr. No-Face together, using the mission as an excuse for what he's really planning. When they arrive at No-Face hideout, Luke is ambushed. Woozie tackles him and Vera injects him with a mysterious serum. It's not an attack, it's an intervention. Plas had orchestrated this, fearing that his chemical breakdown might be hereditary and that Luke could face the same fate. At first Luke is furious, but as the weight of his father's desperation sinks in, he reluctantly agrees to Plas's plan, a dangerous nuclear fusion reaction on the docks of Mammoth City. Just as the group prepares for their perilous experiment, Detective Chimp catches up to them. He confronts Plastic Man, laying out his suspicions about the Metal Men's supposed destruction. But their conversation is cut short. Dr. No-Face ignites his blowtorch, and the volatile gases from Plastic Man's deteriorating body ignite. In an instant, a flash erupts, killing Detective Chimp. Plastic Man and his conspirators act quickly. They dispose of Chimp's body, covering up the tragic accident. Luke, unaware of what's just transpired, remains focused on the plan ahead. The docks of Mammoth City await, promising salvation or complete destruction. If you enjoyed this epic showdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. I see you in the next video.